through the chemicals on how it's going to be done, and then I physically do it and show you what's happening. Okay. So first test, the column number 1 here is chlorine. We do not use bromine in a swimming pool, always chlorine. So the first vial here under Cl is chlorine. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill this vial with water up to the line. We're going to add 5 drops of yellow, and we're going to compare the color here to the color that's over here. When we do that, we take the back side of this card and put it behind here. Because if we just looked at the pool with it like this, it will influence the color, whether it's the fence, the house, whatever's the background. So you always put the card back here, and we compare the color here to the color in this side. Okay? So the second column is our pH test, or acid. On that test, we're going to fill the large vial to the top line. We're going to add 1 drop of neutralizer, the green number 4. And we're going to go back and we're going to add 5 drops of red. At that point in time, we will have a color in this that will be to this spectrum over here. We want to be between 7.4 and 7.6 on our color. And if our color is not 7.4, 7.6, then we're going to move on to the third column here, which is our acid demand test. This is what's going to tell us how much acid we're going to add to the pool to make it be in the right position. So at that point, with the same colored water that's in here, we're going to take the number 3 and we're going to do it 1 drop at a time, and we're going to mix in between each drop. And we're going to keep track of those drops until that color changes to what we need it to change to.
And this tells us how many drops we're supposed to use?
It does.
Okay.
I'm almost going verbatim on
Okay.
what this says. So once we have figured out, like let's say it takes 4 drops, and we started up here at very purplish red color, and 4 drops, and it dropped it down to a yellowish orange, whatever's down here. At that point, we say, okay, it took 4 drops of number 3. So we go to the pamphlet, and on the back side of the pamphlet at the bottom, it says acid demand chart. At the top, it says drops of solution number 3, and down the side, it has the gallons of water in the swimming pool. So at 12,790, we're going to scroll down to 10,000, and we're going to scroll across. Let's say it took 4 drops. So at 10,004, that's 1 quart of acid to add. Then we're going to come up here to 1,000 twice, equaling 12,000. So that's another 2 1/5 ounce, so another 4 ounces basically. And the 500 is another ounce. So we're going to go 1 quart and 5 ounces is going to be how much acid we're going to add to the swimming pool. Okay, and it always depends on how many drops of number 3 solution it takes to change the purpley color to down here where it needs to be in the 7.4, 7.6. Okay?
Okay.
Our last and final test is the alkalinity. Okay, alkalinity is the water's availability to keep the pH in check. It keeps the pH from going wacko, up and down, up and down. And it also tells us whether the water is going to be aggressive and start etching things. Okay, so that last column is the alkalinity test. We're going to fill the vial to the bottom line. We're going to neutralize the water with number 4 again. We're going to take 2 drops of number 5 alkalinity and drop those in. Swirl it to mix, and we're going to get a bluish color water. At that point, we're going to go back to our number 3 bottle, and we're going to add 1 drop at a time again, and swirling between each drop. It should take 8 to 12 drops of number 3 to change that blue water to a clear or yellow color. And as long as it's between 8 and 12 drops, then your alkalinity is right where it needs to be. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Just need to get the lid out of here. stuck down on the bottom. There it is. Okay, so if you want to follow along, you can stay right there. It's fine. I'm going to come back over here. When we put this in the water to fill them, we want to be about elbow deep every time that we go in and dip the water. Okay. I'm going to tell you already, since I just added chlorine and I'm taking water right where the returns are, it's probably going to be high. But in the next day or two, with 100-degree temperatures, it's going to go back down. All right? So once we get water in our vial, if we just tap on the center of it, we can knock the water down to the line where it needs to be. So again, this is our chlorine test. So 5 drops of yellow is the number 1 column.
Right here, yeah.
Okay, so 5 drops of yellow. Remember what I said about it being strong. I already know it's going to be up, but turn it over and over to mix. And I already know, I knew we were going to be up here at the top because 1, it hasn't gone into solution. It's coming right out of this return line, and it still has all of the, it's going right from the filter to this return line. So I know that it's going to be strong. But again, it will go down in the next couple of days. So the next test is our pH test. So the same thing's going to happen. We just knock the water out. Till it's down to the line. Okay. 1 drop of number 4, or the neutralizer. And then 5 drops of red. Not bad. So at this point, I didn't need to put that card behind here, but again, the back of the card being white, this is where we compare our colors. Okay?
So it's close to 7.4.
Yeah, 7476. So we're high. We're up here someplace. Okay? So this is where we're going to do the acid demand test, which is the 3rd column. This is where I keep track of my drops of number 3, right? First time. So 1 drop at a time. And mixing between. And we're counting, we understand, so that was 1, 2. Did you see it change?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's getting lighter, yeah.
So that was 2, 3. This is probably going to drop it way down. Oh, not bad. Yeah. So three drops. Okay. So remember, with 3 drops, this is where we go to the back here to the list on the bottom. Drops of number 3 solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Took 3 drops. We're going to scroll down to 10,000 gallons. So that is 1.5 pints. Then I'm going to go up to 1,000, which is 2.25 ounces, twice. So that's 4 ounces. Another 500 is another ounce. So we're going, what did I say, 1.5 pints and 5 ounces of muriatic acid to change the pH. Okay? Chemicals are not an instant gratification thing, albeit chlorine did what it's doing. But adding muriatic acid to the pool is not a add it and you have an instant change. It'll be a day or two, and then you'll test again, and we'll see where it's at. And you'll probably have to add more acid, and then go from there. Okay. So this is the fourth and final test. This is the alkalinity test. So again, we're going with the number 4 neutralizer, 1 drop. Two drops of number 5, the alkalinity. And we just swirl it to mix. Swirl. Now is where we go back with our number 3, 8 to 12 drops to change this blue purpley water to a clear or yellow. And we mix in between each one. Actually 4. So
Whoa.
right at 8. I don't do magic, it's just right at 8. Okay, so it's perfect. Alkalinity is right where it needs to be, which is good. If alkalinity is too high, then it's adding muriatic acid to change that. If it's too low, then you're adding sodium bicarbonate, which is basically baking soda. And
how do you add that other acid that you were talking
at the
about?
deep end of the pool. So in a minute, I'm going to go out to my truck and grab the muriatic acid, and I'm going to bring it back in, and I'm going to fill my cup to 1.5 pints plus 4 or 5 ounces, and then we're going to add it to the deep end of the pool. All right. When you add muriatic acid, you add it right to the top of the water. You do not stand up here and pour it, because the splash can splash out on the concrete. Acid will etch concrete right now.
Okay.
Won't do anything to your skin, but it will. It's not good for concrete. Okay. So you'll see. I'll put the cup all the way down the water. I'll pour it in. And it's done. Okay? When you add chemicals, the filter pump is always on. Okay, you do not add chemicals with still water. It has to be moving.